So my name is Garcia, and today I'm with
Your big brother, Luis Garcia.
Luis. What do you do?
I am the Positive Behavior Intervention Supports Coordinator and School Social Worker for the Lamont Elementary School District.
Tell me about your upbringing.
My upbringing. So both of my parents immigrated here to the United States probably in the early 80s or late 70s. As soon as I turned 2 years old, my parents moved from LA here to Bakersfield. We grew up pretty, not with a lot, but we had enough. Our parents always instilled in us to work hard and to get our education. That was something that I always kind of remembered. It was nice growing up with two older brothers. We got to do a lot. We got to, since we were not that much apart in age, it was Alan, and then about 2 to 3 years later it was Tony, and then 2 or 3 years later it was me, and then 10 years later it was you. So we were pretty close in age, so it was nice, especially when I got to like 4th grade and I started getting into basketball. It was those backyard rivalries between Tony and I. Been really kind of hanging out with him, and it was nice having someone there, which you probably didn't have.
Yeah, you're right. Why go into social work?
Social work, well, I've always felt that I wanted to really help people and have a positive impact in their lives. I just didn't know into what direction to go. So I remember as soon as I graduated high school, I went to CSUB, and I took my, your prereqs, your first 2 years, and I decided upon psychology. I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just went with psychology. And then after I graduated with psychology, I was like, okay, I know this isn't the last time I'll be here at school. But fortunately for me, I ended up working for a children's mental health clinic. And it was during that time that I really kind of figured out, like, I want to be a therapist. That's what I want to be. And there's 2 routes to become a therapist. There's a marriage and family therapist, and there's the Masters of Social Work. So the Masters of Social Work is a little bit more marketable, in my opinion. So we decided to go that route. And also working for that children's mental health clinic, I saw a big gap in services in our school districts, where yes, they have school counselors, they have school psychologists, but there's not really a person providing therapy, especially for our students in the general population. So I was like, man, there's a big gap here, and I think I can fill it. So that's why I decided to go back to school, go for my master's in social work, and even went a little bit beyond that, and got my credential in social work as well as my PPS, and then that's how you're able to call me a school social worker now.
Have you ever been overlooked?
Coming from the background that we do, coming from parents that immigrated and parents that didn't have education past probably elementary, grade school level, I think it's very easy to get overlooked and not be thought about as someone that's going to make like an impact. But you kind of learn early on that, all that stuff, a lot of it is just like a mental barrier. If you don't want to be overlooked, then put yourself out there, push past your mental barriers, past your fear of not failing, and just go for it and make it to the point where if they overlook you, that's on them. They missed out on you.
Talk to me about your struggles growing up.
My struggles growing up? I think my struggles growing up were really centered around not having a sense of belonging. And I'm referring to more back when I was in high school. I think when I entered high school, I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had acquired all the skills to be a good student. But my senior year, especially when we were talking about going to college, and you saw all of my classmates talking about them being accepted to the UCs, the CSUs, and I'm like, man, that's all cool. I don't know what I want to do. I'll just get here to CSU Bakersfield. Not having, I guess, that seed or that belief in me that there was something else that I needed to do. That was a big struggle for me, and it was a personal struggle, because as I looked at my parents or even my brothers at the time, none of them had really, they have gone to college, but they really haven't, I felt, didn't really kind of push themselves, not yet at the very point, at that age. So that was a big struggle for me, kind of realizing what I wanted to do and what I wanted to pursue. And I really did struggle with it as well, because like I started thinking to myself, like, why don't I have that in me? And I started kind of like hating myself and where I came from. Like, how come my parents aren't professionals? You know, how come my parents don't sit me down or don't take me to go visit, you know, universities, for me to have that notion that, no, this is the next step. Like this is a given. Like, you have to go here, you know, and I didn't have that. But fortunately for me, I had a really good teacher. Met her my freshman year, and I was her TA my senior year. That she's the one that took the time to really say, like, no, you're gonna go to college, and make sure that I apply for my FAFSA, apply for all my college applications and the whole 9 yards. During my time that I was teen, and she'd make sure that I did that if I didn't have to help her with anything. Even to the point where I remember still very vividly, one of my strongest memories in high school, she had told me to go ask for a SAT fee waiver. And I think the head counselor, one of the counselors at the time, was in charge of all that. So I remember going into his office, kind of asking him, hey, I'm here because I want to ask for a SAT fee waiver. And I remember him asking me, oh, okay, so you want to go to college? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, where do you want to go? I'm like, oh, I think I'll just stick here to something in the city. And he was like, oh, so what do you want to do with your career? I'm like, I'm not sure. And I was being honest, like, I didn't really know. I think that was a hard question for any 18-year-old to answer, like, what do you want to do? And his response was, I'm kind of holding out on those waivers because there's so few of them to those students that really know what they want to do. So I was kind of like, okay, and that hurt me. That hurt me bad. And mind you, this counselor at the time didn't take the time to look me up or look into my transcript or anything like that. If he did, he would have found out that I was graduating with a 4.3. I graduated with a gold stole with honors. I was ranked, I think, 13th in my class. That didn't matter to him, apparently. So I went back to my teacher, and I told her, and I think I was pretty close to being in tears, saying, like, I almost felt like I failed her. Like, I asked and he declined me, and she got mad. Probably one of the first times that I heard her cuss. And she basically said, don't worry about it. I'm gonna go talk to that person, and tomorrow you're gonna have that waiver on your desk. And there it was. And I really do kind of owe it to her, Miss Noelia, for being the reason why I got into college.
It's fair to say now, you know, after getting your bachelor's, your master's, you've gotten certifications and stuff like that you've made it. Now, if you were to see that counselor again, what would you tell him?
I don't think I would tell him anything. I'll probably shake his hand and be really nice, you know, but, you know, I think he showed me. I've always tried to take the best out of situations, you know. Obviously, I still think about him in that sort of light, but, you know, I don't hold anything against him. I think he's probably one of the reasons why I decided to become who I am, where I could really take the time to know my students, and to really kind of figure out what are the needs and, you know, what are the intentions, and let's make sure that you have the means to carry out whatever your vision is. So I don't think I would tell him much. If anything, I would, you know, if someone brought it up, I'll probably share that story, but not to embarrass him or anything like that, but hopefully to make him realize that, you know, he should probably take the time. You know, we all have busy lives, you know, even at work, it's kind of go, 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 but every once in a while you should really kind of slow down, especially when working with the youth, and try to kind of really get to know them instead of assuming.
Do you feel like you still have a chip on your shoulder from that experience?
I think so. I think it's not just that experience, but I think in general, I've always had a chip on my shoulder for whatever reason. I think I'm very competitive, but it's more competitive against myself. I always try to outdo myself. And that's for anything. Like if I started running and I'm running 2 miles in 18 minutes because I'm a little out of shape right now, then the next time I want to run it like in 17 minutes or something. And I really do have that mindset for anything that I do. Like if I do a parenting class with 20 parents that I graduate, the next time I want to go over there, recruit more, make more connections so I can graduate 25, 30. So it's always about becoming better and better and better. I'm never really satisfied. And that's both my gift and my curse, that I don't stop.
You're in a good place in your life. You've had, plenty of success, but have you ever failed?
I have failed. I failed every single day. I failed every single day, as a husband, as a school social worker. Maybe as a husband, I'm not as patient, I'm not as attentive, I'm not as affectionate. As a school social worker, maybe I don't reply to the email as quickly as I should, or maybe I missed something during an individual session that I should have caught. So I think I make mistakes every single day. But the important part is being able to take the time to reflect and really improve on your mistakes from that day or yesterday. As long as you remain stagnant, you don't remain complacent, I think you're good. And being able to accept the fact that you're never done. I don't consider myself successful, because I think if I consider myself successful or an expert, I give in to this notion of complacency, and I don't want to be complacent. Being complacent scares me. So I'm always learning, trying to get better, and I understand my limits, my own personal limits, and it's always about just trying to improve and make yourself better in every area of your life, not just in my career, but in my personal life as well, as a friend, as a brother, as a husband.
So what is your definition of success?
My definition of success is making a positive impact with as many people as possible. I want to be known at the end of the day as that person that was just always positive, that always saw the best in people and really equipped them with hope or any other kind of tools to be able to overcome their own personal obstacles. Kind of want to give back, like what my senior year teacher did for me. I want to be able to do that every single day for the students that I work with, for the families that I help, or even creating a system in which we can all do that, not just me. And that's kind of really where I'm at in my career. Maybe not as doing as many individual or family sessions, but really trying to change the system in which we look at our students, for everyone to be able to have that type of effect on the kids that we serve. Because that's really what we should be doing. We should be serving our kids.
Knowing what you know now, and you having these experiences that you've had at this point of your life, what would you tell a younger version of you?
First one, you should have tried out for basketball when you were in high school. Whenever somebody asks me that question of regret, that's the first thing that comes in my head, like I should have tried out for basketball. But our parents were really strict, so you probably know how that goes. But what I would tell a younger version of myself is don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to fail. Put yourself out there, go for it, and go for it strong and all the way.
What is your biggest accomplishment so far?
Biggest accomplishment? That's a tough one. Obviously, getting to this point in my life and being married to my lovely wife and creating this family, and just building our own little world. I mean, that has to be, in my opinion, my biggest accomplishment. Right there, plain and simple. It's funny because there's been a lot of what I can consider accomplishments. I mean, even just having a breakthrough session, that to me is an accomplishment, like an aha moment from one of your students or one of your parents. Little accomplishments like that kind of come and go. I think for me, that's my baby. I think for me, one of the best accomplishments has really been being able to take a look back at my past experiences and my past employments and being able to see like all of those past experiences have really led me to this point. One of the quotes that I like is you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. It's really funny how God works in your life, where currently where you're at, you can take a look at your past and say, like, now I know why that had to happen. Now I know why I had to start mental health. Now I know why I had to start implementing this mental health multi-tier system when I first started mental health, and gave me a second opportunity when I went from Delano to Bakersfield and then to one school site, and now I have 4 school sites. So it's really nice for me to be able to see that, and I think that's an accomplishment in itself, because I can see that God opened those doors for me, because he probably said, you're ready now, keep going.
Now, be honest, is it intimidating having a better looking younger brother?
No, because that's all perception. I mean, you think you're better looking, but I think most people would disagree with that. Yeah.
Fair enough. What is one message Luis Garcia wants to spread to the world?
One message that I could spread to the world. I think it would be for everyone to just understand that no matter where you come from, no matter who may put you down or who may not believe in you, that at the end of the day, you have the power to change that. You have the power to say, like, regardless of what you think about me, what you feel about me, I'm gonna go after it. But it starts with really realizing that all the barriers and limits that we have are all in our head. Like the fear of failure, the fear of being embarrassed, the fear of being ashamed. I mean, all of that is just temporary. But knowing that even when you do fail, when you do make a mistake, it's not the end. That's just a lesson. And the lesson is that hopefully you learn from that, so the next time you put in that situation or that obstacle's in front of you, you're able to overcome it. Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think a lot of people get really scared of this big idea of who they need to be. Like, oh, okay, I want to be a doctor, I want to be X, Y, or Z. But look at all the schooling that it takes. Look the way that their mannerisms are and the way they have to kind of, behave themselves and all of that. Is kind of like, no, like, you're going to get to that point, but just focus on today. Be productive every single day. Work towards your goals every single day, and eventually, a couple of years from now, you're going to be there. I mean, I'm 30 years old, just like you said, and I'm not there yet. But I know it's a process, and I'm willing to be patient. I'm willing to take my time. And there's no shortcuts when it comes to doing the right thing. And that's another thing that I wanted to, the message that I want to give is, like, don't take shortcuts. Because if you're taking a shortcut, you're not doing it right. If you want to do it right, don't take a shortcut. Get lost in the process, get lost in the journey, and eventually you're going to come out at a much better place when it's all said and done.
Luis, thank you very much.
You're welcome.